Hey, so I just got back from seeing Birds of Prey, and while I thought it was pretty good, it wasn't as good as Joker, but at least it was way better than Suicide Squad. And now I'll be getting more into that because, of course, I will, because this is a review. I'll be keeping things spoiler free because I don't think there's any need to spoil anything. Uh, what do I start with? Usually, it's pretty clear to me what I should start with for this one, but this is a much more difficult film for me to review, just because I have a much less concise opinion on this one in particular. Like, this one has less of a need to be opinionated by me, I feel, because my opinion on it is very muddled. The only thing I've decided about it is that I very much like it, but I can't tell you an awful lot of details as to why, other than, hey, it has good action, and I thought it was very frequently funny. And other than that, I mean, like, it checked all the boxes that it was supposed to. And yes, while I did wish, hope, and think that we were going to get something better, even though I was told that we weren't, and was told everything at the gate that we were going to be getting exactly what we got from other reviewers, which properly prepared myself, which made my rating be higher too, because I was properly prepared, which everyone that I went with rated this lower than me, which is surprising because they weren't prepared and they like to go in through everything blind. And that usually gives them higher scores, but for this one, it gave them lower scores. And I think everyone else was lower on this one too. But this one I really like this one more than most people. Uh, I think it mostly comes down to the action and the comedy are both so solid and so frequent that, like, I mean, how can you not like it? I mean, everyone likes it, but no one loves it. Is a very fair, concise, is a very fair consensus on what everyone thinks about it. But as so, this, by the way, still a part of the DCEU, but it's an R-rated take on it, and it's like removed from the DCEU, even though it's labeled as such, like labeled inside. But, like, it's not tied to any one thing, and it's not setting up or sequel baiting anything. It feels like its own film, which is a very good thing. Another thing I like. Ewan McGregor was having the time of his life as the villain. He's very eccentric and over the top in all the best ways. And he knows he is just a filthy degenerate. He knows he is just a child, and he just has his way with it. His character is just a pile of garbage, and he knows it. So he has fun with that role. And as long as you, like, get on the film's wavelength and understand, like, what it's going for, that's fine. Although I get why a lot of people kind of misconstrued the message as, like, I guess, like, there's, like, two ways you can view the film politically, and both of them have to do with, like, feminism, but, like, they're very different interpretations of feminism because of how they view the male characters. All the male characters in the movie, for the most part, are jerks, even though some of them aren't totally jerks. Some of them are more just morally gray, rather than being downright despicable or criminals, you know? Some of them were just like, hey, I had to do a bad thing because I was in a bind. And you can't blame me for doing that because you, Harley Quinn, who is a villain, and the film does not, like, shy away from showing as a villain, and who is doing far worse things than me, including murder and various other crimes, and the exact task that I am doing myself that you find so despicable, And yet they treat that, because it's from her point of view, as despicable. And I thought that was kind of a clever, like, Joker-esque thing that this movie took away. It does learn a lot of things, which is one of the positive things I liked about it. It learns from Joker. It learns from Suicide Squad. It just learns from everything DC has tried already and improves itself because of that. It does everything it can from the feedback that they've gotten to make the best film that they can. But I agree with the people that say that sign's just missing. I don't know if, like, it need. Oh, hey.
You can keep going.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know what that special element I thought it was missing was. Maybe, like, I love the style. I think that was, like, one of the things that really helped. But maybe, like, if it was more violent, that would have. Maybe that was the element that was missing. I don't know, but there's some element of spectacle that's missing from the film. Maybe it's just because we've seen this type of thing before, and there's been so many superhero films that, like, and action films in general, that it's kind of hard to think that we hadn't seen this type of thing before. Although it does have its own subversive twist to it that you can find enjoyable. But there's so much to enjoy about the film that the one missing element, while it is a nitpick, it can't override just how much fun you can have with the movie. Because the movie is extremely fun with how much style it oozes. It's so colorful. It's extremely funny. I mentioned the action is, like, some of the best in the DCEU. It reminded me of, like, how Aquaman also set the bar for, like, action. Uh Margot Robbie is a lot of fun as Harley Quinn, and they delve into, like, new elements of her psyche that we hadn't delved into before, kind of like Joker. There's a lot of movie influences that I caught, like Kill Bill and John Wick and Joker and all these other things that I noticed that it took from. And even, like, Suicide Squad, but, like, it learned from all these things. Like, people don't like Suicide Squad, like, critics anyways, but the things that they messed up in Suicide Squad, they rectified here and, like, made better here, and this is just overall, like, a way better film than Suicide Squad. Like, it's actually a good film. It's no Joker. And while the trailer leads you to believe that this is going to be another holy crap movie like Joker, and even the trailer for Joker wasn't a holy crap movie. Even though Joker wasn't a holy crap movie like the trailer for Joker, I still think that, like, you absolutely have to, like, see it and, like, support it, because it's still, like, a fun movie. It's really good. Something I need to loop back around to. When I was saying earlier that, like, the whole, like, how it approaches, like, feminism, and, like, how it addresses what they learned from Joker and the R-rating and stuff like that. My interpretation was, since it's from, Harley Quinn's point of view, and it's essentially a breakup movie, and she's just hysterically emotional after breaking up with the Joker, the whole movie could kind of, like, deflect, like, a sort of nastiness onto the male characters because she sees the Joker in them. Just my interpretation. But I think that's why she especially gave those characters a hard time, was because she's in this criminal underworld where you would see these types of characters anyways. Like, in the criminal underworld, you're gonna see all these murderers and just, like, deviants and types like these that are just gonna be super nasty and, like, disgusting. But, like, of course they're not gonna treat the main character right because they're criminals, and so are, like, the women, for that matter. Like, all characters are, like, criminals in the movie. So, like, it kind of, like, universally, none of them are very good people. It's just that the guys are especially mean. So I get why some people were like, well, that's not exactly fair to the guys, but I think I could defend the film on this one, just because, like, I think, like, looking at it through her lens, she just got dumped by the Joker, says she sees all these guys as the Joker. So she wants to like kick their butts because she sees the Joker in them. And that's what we're supposed to be seeing the film as. But I totally understand the mindset of, well, it's kind of unfairly treating it. It's kind of an unfair treatment of guys, but I think it's fine. I don't think it's necessarily anything to complain about. I'm not saying I'm offended as a male. I'm not gonna get wrapped up in the politics of it. I frankly do not care. I'm fine with the movie's representation of guys. They're scumbags in the movie. Who cares? I don't care. Why do you care? I'm not offended. Why are you offended? Uh, yeah. Um, it's called Birds of Prey, but the Birds of Prey are barely in the movie, especially Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I heard a lot that people were calling her a standout in the movie, and I was really hoping that she would be in a lot, especially since she was second in the cast list. But she was barely in it. She was only in the first 10 minutes and then like the last 10 minutes. So it was like, okay, that's kind of disappointing. Though I did find her character pretty entertaining. Her character was the whole just Kill Bill Volume 1, just like the villain from Kill Bill Volume 1. I can just, that was, you can't tell me that's not what that was, because that's totally what that was. But yeah, ultimately, the whole film is just extremely charming. It didn't really utilize the R rating as much as I thought it could have been. Like I said, I think it could have been way more violent, and that would have been way more entertaining. But, like, oh well, whatever. It's still a very entertaining movie. And I like how the ending played out. That was satisfying. I won't go into details, though. Um, yeah, I thought it was, like, a lot of fun. It's a pretty looking film, too. Uh, the soundtrack sometimes felt a little out of place, though. Like, it felt a little too, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, what's the word where it's like, it took, it, like, the music comes out today, but it'll be dated tomorrow or whatever. That word. I'm trying to figure out what it is. Uh, like, I think it begins with a C. It's like Cora. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Gosh darn it. It's like, oh gosh, now I feel whatever. So like I feel like the music will kind of date in a couple of years. Because like it kind of feels like that sort of soundtrack where it's like, yeah, we're pop music that's like cool and relevant right now, but then like in a couple years you'll be like, okay, this feels kind of out of place. Why we're doing this? I don't know. It doesn't fit with the tone of the movie. Okay, but yeah. Uh, what else to address? I gave the movie. I'm still figuring out what I want to give the movie out of 10. I think either a 7.75 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. I don't know. What else can I talk about? I'm trying to think what I haven't talked about yet. I don't know, like, if they exactly handled abuse correctly in the film, though. Like, if I want to nitpick, like, it kind of felt like the scene where, okay, I don't know if I should get into spoilers here. Like, is this a spoiler? But like the scene, the Joker scene of the movie, where it's all in her head and she imagines herself as a singer. Let's just go with that. But in the real world, Ewan McGregor is doing something to her. I don't know if that was the right time to put a little in her mind dream sequence. I get that's supposed to be that what he did to her shook up her mind a little bit and that she needs to get her thoughts into order. But it kind of felt a little inappropriate timing wise because it kind of felt like the way that they played it off was like, almost like a romantic musical number between the two of them in her fantasy world, and it's like, no, that feels gross because of what is happening in real life right now in the movie, and that just feels a little icky. Just the way it kind of handled like abuse in that storyline, but in a way, like, it kind of feels relevant to her character because she's in abusive relationships with Joker and she's trying to, like, get away from that. But it is kind of coded into her genes with the character. And I don't know why in the comics, like, I don't know anything about the comics, by the way, but I don't know why she fell in love with Joker in the first place and, like, left her profession behind and everything. But, like, it kind of feels, like, weird. But yeah, anyways, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to address of the movie. I stayed for the after credits scene, which isn't a scene, it's more like dialogue that trolls the audience, and that was pretty funny. So yeah, if you think that a couple of lines of dialogue playing over the end credits at the very end is worth it, you can stick around for that, because that was very funny. Excuse me. Yeah, so I really like it. I say go support it. I want the DCU to just be R-rated movies, because that's way different from Marvel with their PG-13 thing. Just give us adult superhero movies. Doesn't that sound cool? I think that sounds cool. Because, like, doesn't that finally give DC an excuse to set themselves apart from the crowd? Like, imagine if we got films like Watchmen, Joker, and like stuff like that, where it's just masterful that you just can't get in from Marvel because they're constrained by that PG-13 limit. And they're worried that they'll go too far because of like families. All they have is Deadpool, right? And the 20th Century Fox stuff, maybe Sony, but like I feel like with DC, they can carve out something special, and not by copying Marvel like they have been doing, but over the past year when they figured it out with Aquaman and then continued figuring it out with Shazam. Now they're finally getting onto a track record where they're like, all right, let's just do one-off films that don't connect to anything, so that way you can pop in, pop out whenever you want, and then we can have, like, PG-13 and R, and then just, like, spread them out, whatever, and then just, like, you know, do R stuff, because Marvel won't do that. They're too interconnected to do that, and they're like, oh, but what about the kiddos that want to keep up on the timeline? You really think that an 8-year-old is gonna, like, really want to will be able to keep up with all that? Like, I mean, I'm sure that they probably can. I'm not gonna say, like, that they can't. But, like, I don't think that they'll be super offended that one of their films is R. They'll go see it anyways, even though they are 8, because I remember what it was like to be 8. Or they'll grow up and then watch it, and that'll happen, and they'll love it. So, you know, that's a thing that happens. And yeah, so that's my review of Birds of Prey. Please go see it. Yeah, Warner Brothers has been on a hot streak lately. This is like the 5th Warner Brothers movie I've seen in the theaters in a row that I've loved. And you should support Warner Brothers, like, seriously, like, right now, because, like, they're great. This is, like, I don't know if I just came back from, like, 2 previous fantastic, like, some of the best comedies of 2020. Even though neither of them were really comedies, like The Gentleman, and I finished the full series of BoJack Horseman. And both of them were phenomenal. Like, best of the year, both of them were, like, they're both, like, amazing. BoJack Horseman, I think, as a whole, the entire series, I'd give, like, a 9.75. And that's because, like, it's, like, perfectly heartbreaking and terrifying and funny and emotionally resonant and just so gosh darn heart-wrenchingly sad and scary all at the same time and funny, and just the ways that you connect with like such a monstrous main character, but he just feels also human even though he's not human is like great. And then but the reason why I can't give it a perfect score, despite it being what I think is probably the best sitcom on television, because even though it's like a drama technically disguised as a comedy, the reason why I can't give it a perfect score is because, speaking of social justice warrior, like feminism, things that I feel like are like a little step too far, that like I don't really like to get into politics. I feel like it just divides people and I don't like to do that. But for BoJack Horseman, I thought that like the character Diane was like always taking things a step too far, cuz that was like her whole character in the show was just being a social justice warrior. And I thought that kind of made her bland because that was like her only personality throughout the entire show. And yeah, there were little moments that made me care about her, where like it started digging into her character and like how she wanted to make other characters feel better them by like them seeing her life be like their life and inspire them. And like little touching moments like that where it like shows like her inner struggles and things like that. But then it would immediately be undone when she says whatever relevant, trendy political thing is going on at the time, and then go, "Am I right, ladies? Gosh, men suck." And I'm like, okay, but like, not all men suck. Yes, there are a lot of men that suck, but not all of them. That's like if I said all women suck, and that's definitely not true. I mean, like, maybe a couple of women suck, but like most of them are great. So, like, don't treat the mass as the few, even if you've had bad experiences with the few. So, like, I don't know if that's exactly fair. So, like, but hey, opinions are opinions. So you can do whatever you want. I can't tell you what to do. And this is getting too political for one review, so I'm going to stop now because I don't like getting political. So we're going to stop there. So that's my thoughts on BoJack Horseman. Okay, let's stop the review here. I'm stopping right here. I can't do this anymore. I'm really tired, so sorry that I got really off track. I felt like I should address that because I just watched that. And I already have a review for The Gentleman. But yeah, those were two, like, funnier. Well, I don't know if BoJack is funnier. It's more just crushingly sad and realistic. But they're still, like, really good, too. So check those out if you hadn't already. But yeah, thank you for watching this over long extended review. Bye.